Hi guys, how's it going? It's Olly Brown back with another music production video. Today's video is all about how can we make our song sound more interesting. What can we add to the song to keep the listener intrigued? So making electronic music, it can be quite easy for the songs to get quite repetitive. So these little ear candy tips, some subtle, some not so subtle, will just keep the song progressing quite nicely. So yeah, I'm going to show you how I implement these in my music. So yeah, if you like what you see, find it useful, drop us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and yeah, let's get started. Okay, so ear candy tip number 1 is adding an extra snare about 8 bars in after you drop, and then panning these snares, and they just pop out. Fairly subtle, but really makes a difference. So my drop is here, and I've done this here just before the 8 bar mark. So this is what it sounds like. So you get that first snare in the left ear and you get the second one in the right ear. So how do we do that? What you need to do is if you're using MIDI, just double up on your snare. So double up on your snare by putting in an extra note, and then you want to come over to the side here and head to your mixer, and then you want to go to track panning, and then just make sure that your first one is to the left or the right, whatever you want. I didn't do it too much. 13 on one side, and about to say it was about 11 on the other. So yeah, just do whatever you think's right. But yeah, 13, between 10 and 13 to me sounds pretty good. So yeah, that is ear candy tip number 1. Alright, so the next piece of ear candy we can use is a drum fill. So for drum fills, they're a bit more in your face, and it lets the listener know that that there's something changing in the track. So this drum fill, I've got one halfway through the drop, and I've got one at the end as well, just before the breakdown. So this is what it sounds like. This is 8 bars on from the pan snares. So yeah, as you can see, it's a bit more in your face than the pan snare, and yeah, lets the listener know that something else is happening. So yeah, as you can hear, the progression is there with the string, and there's a vocal progression too. So how did I do the drum fill? It was a sample from Splice, and I've got an EQ8 on it, taking out some low frequencies, and I've got a drum bus on there as well to give it a bit more character. So yeah, that's all I did. And I've got another one. So this drum fill is at the end of the verse, just before the breakdown. Again, another sample from Splice with EQ and drum bus, and it sounds something like this. So the next ear candy tip is using filter automation. So what filter automation does is gradually filters out the sound, and then it will come back to normal for the next part of the track. And when that next part of the track starts, it just sounds a lot more harder hitting, and it stands out more. So you can do this on a number of different things. You could use it on a vocal, you could use it on a piano, use it on pretty much anything, to be honest. But yeah, it is quite useful. So I've done it on a piano here. So I'll show you what that sounds like on its own. And what it sounds like with the rest of the track. So yeah, with the drum fill, it doesn't sound too bad at all. But for that next part of the track, for the progression, yeah, when that first note hits the piano, sounds really strong, because we filtered out the notes beforehand. So yeah, that is filter automation. So another automation trick you can use is volume automation. So yeah, taking a sound out completely, and then reintroducing it again for the next part of the track. So just for example, I've done this with the drums. So this is what it sounds like at the end of the phrase. I don't really go there, but I know that with you. So yeah, just taking the drums out completely there just before the next part. So how have I done that? Just go over to the mixer on your drums, and then go to track volume, and then with the automation tool, you can just literally grab it and bring it down, just so it's completely quiet, and then bring it back up again for the next part of the track. Alright, so final ear candy tip is using a piano chord, reversing it, and then playing that every 2 bars, and it just gives it a little lift at the end of every 2 bars. And this is what it sounds like on its own. And this is what it sounds like with everything else. So yeah, it just gives the track a little bit extra. So yeah, how do we do that? So you create a new MIDI track, and then you bring in the grand piano, which is in Ableton, and it is here. So you can put your own chords in there, but I'm going to use the ones which I already have down here. So I'm going to take 2 bars of the chord, just here. And then what I'm going to do is right click on the MIDI channel, and I'm going to click on freeze track. Shouldn't take too long. There we go. And then once you've done that, click on flatten track, and that will bounce it down into an audio file. Cool, and now we've got the audio file. All you need to do is reverse it. So click on this little, these 2 little arrows down here. Sweet. And then you just need to put some reverb and some other little bits and pieces on it. So for the piano riser, or whatever you want to call it, I guess it is a little bit of a riser, but then it's just a bit of an uplifter every 2 bars, whatever you want to call it. I've sent it to a return track, which is B. So in B, we've got the EQ8 taking out the lows and the highs. I've got some reverb with a decay time of about 5 seconds, so fairly long, with a dry wet of 35%. I don't tend to go above 40% with the reverb just because it's a bit overpowering. So I have that the compressor with its side chains to the piano bus. So basically what this is the bounce down version of the piano MIDI chords, which I've got, and basically it makes the reverb sound less static when you're side chaining, and the reverb keeps going after the chord finishes, and it just sounds a lot more professional. If you want to know how to do that, I've got a video which I will link up above, so you can go and check that out once this video is done. Also got a bit of delay on there too, and I've also got an audio effect track where I use the Haas effect, which effectively splits the signal into the left and right ear, and one's delayed slightly, so it just sounds like a lot bigger than it actually is. And there you go, 5 tips on how to make your song sound more interesting. Some are subtle, some aren't, but yeah, all help in a big way. So yeah, if you found the video useful, drop us a like and a subscribe. I really would appreciate it, and I'll be back very soon with another video. So have a great week, guys. See you very soon.